if I can sit down for 2 minutes with a cup of tea and just get a bit of peace and quiet where I'm not looking at a device or doing anything, it actually really helps you keep going. So like micro rest moments.
Welcome to the O for Food's Sake podcast, where we unwrap the joys and struggles of working in the food industry so you can thrive in what you do best while sustaining a rewarding and fulfilling career or business. We are your hosts, Lucy Wager, food industry consultant,
and Amy Wilkinson, food industry coach. We've worked in the food industry for the last 20 years and we're here to share with you the benefit of our hindsight. Our podcast is for you to find new ways to cope with the daily struggles, but mostly to inspire you to work on what's not working to ultimately improve your career or business long term. Hello and welcome to the first episode of 2025 of O for Food's Sake. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
We are going to have an episode today and we're going to be quick about it, all right? Because we know that if you work in the food industry and it is January, it is silly season. It is like, I think people that don't work in the food industry are like, yeah, well, you know, like it's really busy in the lead up to Christmas. And then in January, everybody like hibernates and it's not as busy. That ain't the reality for a lot of us in the food industry, is it? We are in that kind of post-launch review stage. Everybody's kind of in this, are we going to set the strategy for the year? We're going to be doing all these new things.
And launching like January lines, Christmas and Christmas out, New Year in, like it's a bit chaotic.
Yeah, everybody coming back and nobody knowing what's going on. Like, you know, you've already getting summer signed off, you're worrying about the next Christmas. And on top of that, I always find that it's quite a depressing time of year. I don't know if that's the right word.
It is the most depressing time of year.
Yeah,
like
because
26th of January is the highest suicide.
Oh yeah, all right. So. let's not be encouraging
Blue
things
Monday
like that
or something.
Yeah. Well, didn't they say that was a made-up thing by the travel industry to get us all to book holidays?
Well, I don't know. I always feel pretty depressed in January.
But you know, the days are shorter. We've not really got any money. We're all knackered from Christmas already. So, you know, this is a really exciting episode because we're saying some really positive things. So what we're going to do is come up with, we've got 4 tangible, like real life strategies that are just to get you through this busy period. And we're going to share those quickly, and that it's going to be really just things that you can take away from this episode and go and implement. We're going to ask you at the end to like commit to at least one thing that you're going to do from the episode. So should we get going, Lucy?
Let's go. So Number one
is about prioritization. I mean, I'm looking at Lucy like she needs to listen to this. Prioritizing ruthlessly. So at this time of year, when you have got so much going on, this is when you've got to get out those tools that we've talked about. We've got that time management episode if anybody wants to go back and listen to that. But really thinking about how you prioritize that to-do list. Get rid of those things, that categorize those tasks, and getting rid of those things that you can ditch, the things that are the nice to-dos, the things that should be being delegated, and just focus on those things that you must do, the things that have to be done. And I always encourage people to say, if there was only one, it might be up to 3, but if there's 1, 2, or 3 things I have to get done today, focus on those first and don't be getting sidetracked with all the other stuff. And it happens because a million people come up to you each day and like, can I just catch you for this? Can I just do that? But actually, what are the 1 to 3 things each day that are going to have the biggest impact on what you need to achieve in your job?
Yeah.
Can you do that, Lucy?
Doubtful.
Okay, listeners, do that because I know that you're running around.
But I want to do it. I know it makes sense. I think I do it. It's just I've got too many very important things to do.
I'm not sure that's true. But listeners, we're not going to overanalyze Lucy today and coach her through this one.
No.
But if you're listening, just thinking about what are those things. And part of the reason that this episode and this time of year is really important to me is, you know, Lucy, this is when I burnt out. It was January. It was post-Christmas. You're already knackered. You've got to get into that mindset of I'm just going to prioritise and do the things that really, really need to happen.
Yeah. I think it's thinking about that, the high impact, like what's going to give you the best impact.
Yeah.
I do find that useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got something going on at the moment where there's something that I really need to do, but I know I can't do it until tomorrow morning. And even though that is later than the person that wants it, you know, that's when it's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that feels very uncomfortable, but
yeah. But that segues really nicely onto tip number 2, which is around setting those boundaries and communicating with people, communicating your boundaries to other people. So like being really clear on what are your non-negotiables in terms of time. So what are your working hours? And you might be, you know, you might accept that for a short amount of time, you're going to work longer hours, but what is the limit? Because I think a lot of us don't limit, you know, we kind of go, oh, well, I'll come back to that in the evening. And before you know it, it's midnight.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you might allow yourself that, but set some sort of limit. And trying to stop, you know, you have to keep those boundaries around having some sort of personal time to yourself, because it just gets too much. But communicating that to other people can feel a bit scary. So I've got a couple of scripts here to help you as a listener thinking about how you're going to say that. So something like, to stay on top of my workload this month, I'll be designating certain times of the day for focus work on key tasks. Outside of these hours, I'm happy to jump into sessions or address quick questions. But if there's anything urgent, please send me a message or book a time and I'll respond when I'm able to. So it's about kind of saying to people, actually, what I need as an individual is this focus time to get tasks done. What I need from you is for you, like, absolutely, I want to help you if I can help you, but can we do it within these certain times? And be really, really clear with other people, and that you're not just doing it for the fun of it, but actually having that sort of structured approach is going to help me get everything done. And you sort of demonstrating to the rest of the team, this is when I am available. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick breather here to hear from our fantastic sponsors. They help keep the podcast going, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ensuring food safety and quality is crucial. That's why businesses trust Microsearch Laboratories, part of the IFP Labs Group. UCAS-accredited Microsearch offers microbiological, nutritional and allergen testing for food, drink and water, delivering fast results and expert support. With over 30 years of experience, trusted by leading manufacturers and retailers, and a commitment to sustainability, Microsearch is your partner in product safety. Visit micro-search.co.uk to learn more.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's dive right back in.
So are you saying, this is a very interesting, so you're saying that to send an email out to people to say this?
You could do.
Like
you
an
can
out of
do.
office, like a preempting.
Yeah, you could do that. Or if you're finding that you're constantly being bombarded, then this is just your stop response to people as well. Or, you know, this one is probably more something that you could have on an out of office, like have an out of office on your email, having something like, my schedule's quite full with multiple deadlines this month. I'm aiming to get back to people within 48 hours on email, so that you're not saying...
You're telling them, you're managing their expectations.
Yeah. That you're not necessarily going to be able to get back to people straight away, but that you will. But if there's anything urgent, flag it as urgent. You know, so you're getting really clear with other people, like, I have got a lot on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not important to me, but, you know, I'm managing your expectations on when I'll get back to you.
Yeah. And that is actually much more powerful than when you're confronted by someone that's bad-tempered and irritable and I'm really busy. I can't do that. You know, it'd be much better to have a measured response. It's saying, look, you know, I understand what you need, but we're under a lot of pressure at the moment, but this is what I'm going to do about it. So you're being really clear.
Yeah. And being clear on timescales as well, and saying, I'm not going to be able to get back to you as quickly as I usually would, but I'm aiming to get back to people within 2 or 3 days or whatever the thing is. Because a lot of the time, people, because they get no response, because you're so busy and you're running around like a headless chicken, then they start like pressurizing you even more. And it becomes, you know, like your stress bucket gets fuller and fuller and fuller.
Yeah.
When actually, if you can just deflect it and say, like, I hear you, I'm going to come back to you. It helps you manage that workload, but it also helps you maintain your well-being. And that, like you say, it's that measured response. So you're not coming across as a headless chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next tip, so tip number 3 is about planning recovery time and small rewards. So planning recovery time is, well, there's two things. You've got a time period in which it is manic, and it's always manic in the food industry, but I think this time of year can be particularly difficult. So finding little micro breaks in your day, and we talked about this, didn't we, with Amy Polly when we talked about mindfulness and stuff, and it not necessarily being like I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes each day, but it's actually if I can sit down for 2 minutes with a cup of tea and just get a bit of peace and quiet where I'm not looking at a device or doing anything, it actually really helps you keep going. So like
those small
micro rest moments.
Yeah.
So rather than I've got 5 minutes between meetings, I'm going to quickly read my emails, just go and do something that doesn't. I was listening to a podcast earlier. It was Florence Given talking about when you go to the toilet and you take your phone with you, and then like even if you just like look on Instagram or something happens, or like just give yourself a minute to go for a wee on your own.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was a Diary of a CEO podcast. I haven't listened to it for absolutely ages. Yeah. And it was Trevor Noah, who was presenter of The Daily Show in America. I mean, I don't know who he is. I don't know. That's just because I don't know many people. But anyway, he was saying that he does this thing. He was actually talking about how women are much better at just being in friendship groups, not having to actually do something. Yeah. But I thought it was a really good point. This is similarly related. This is about like developing friendships, but this need that we have all the time to be doing something, even when we're with other people. Whereas sometimes it's good just to be, be.
We're human beings, not human doings.
Yeah. So just meet up with a friend, and he said that his
for the sake of it.
Yeah. He's got friends from like developing countries, and he said they do this I think it was Trinidad. They do this thing called liming. And they just, let's lime today, I think it was. Okay. And they just like hang out at each other's houses, and they'd just like be sat there for a bit, not doing anything. And then they'll be like, oh, did you hear about this? And I was like, oh my God, that actually sounds really good. And I don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing, isn't it?
You don't even do it for 5 minutes, do you? Like, like earlier, we had like a 10-minute break and we needed to just record a little snippet of something for the podcast. And I'm like, I don't think we've got time. You're like, of course, we've got 10 minutes. Of course we've got time. Whereas I'm much more like, well, we could have gone for a wee and had a snack and made a cup of tea in that time.
I went for a wee at midday. I don't need one for another 6 hours.
But actually having that pressure that we have all the time to be productive constantly can lead to burnout. So thinking about how you can have those small breaks to help sustain your energy is really, really important. But I think it isn't just about that. I think it's about thinking about when you're going to have a longer rest at the end of this busy period. And I was talking to a head of development earlier in the week, and her team have just been through a manic period. And she said, I'm really upping the self-care now. I've got through it. Like I needed to keep on top of it. But now I'm consciously making an effort to help my body recover from what has happened, how busy I've been. And I just thought that is an amazing thing to be doing, and to be role modeling for the rest of the team that, now let's take that time back. Let's do some things that are a bit more joyful at work and outside of work, doing things that help you feel better, because we've talked lots of times about burnout, resilience, the stress bucket. You've got to do things that are going to empty that bucket, and you can't keep going. We can't keep going at this rate all of the time. No. So, if you can see a light at the end of the tunnel, if you've got a presentation coming up, a launch or something like that, planning in some downtime afterwards to help you recover, it kind of helps you get through as well.
Yeah, it's a reward, isn't it?
Yeah, but don't forget the little micro breaks as well. And then our fourth and final tip, because we wanted to keep this short and sweet because we know you haven't really got time to listen, but we're hoping that you'll have seen that it's like less than 20 minutes, so you can you've got time to listen to it, is connecting and reaching out to your support network. Because at this time of year, I think even like socially, we're generally a lot quieter, aren't we? Nobody's got any money. The evenings are dark. You're not necessarily reaching out to friends and doing things. So we just get into that like kind of head down work mode. And actually, you've got friends, we've all got friends that work in the industry, maybe people you don't work with anymore, but the people that you can have a good old rant about work about any mentors you've got, or ex-colleagues or anybody that you know that you can just reach out. We as humans, that connection with other humans is so important. And having a quick cuppa here and there with people is going to help you keep going. And I think we can get into, particularly when we're in that fight, flight or freeze and like doing mode, we forget how important that is. And actually having people around you that get it, that you can talk to about stuff, can help you feel less isolated and just give you a bit more perspective.
Yeah.
So don't forget to reach out to your support network as well. So that's it. The 4 quick tips, but really
things we need reminding about, I think, though.
Yeah, because we could have been really cliche and had the first episode of the year all about how you go and set your goals and this, that and the other. But we know that the reality is, you probably aren't going to be thinking about that for another few weeks yet. So we just wanted to help you get through.
And you can go back and listen to last year's episode on that, which I think we did. Well, this actually,
Tip 1, prioritise ruthlessly. Only do the essential things for now. Tip 2 is about setting those boundaries and communicating them to other people. What are your non-negotiables? Tip 3 is about planning that recovery time, even if it's a couple of minutes here and there, just to breathe, and then thinking about what you're going to do when that big presentation or whatever it is you're building up to is out of the way, what you're going to do to celebrate and recover. And tip 4, don't forget your support network, your work besties, the people out there that are going to be able to help you.
And tell us which one you're going to do.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we said we were going to do that, didn't we? So come and message us on LinkedIn. Tell us which one of those has resonated and what you're going to do differently. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it, rate and review us. It really helps us reach more food industry pros like you.
For more resources, head over to our website, overfoodsake.co.uk, and join our mailing list to stay in touch.
And if you'd like to connect with us, come say hello on LinkedIn. We're both there, Lucy Wager and Amy Wilkinson.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.